Have you ever met someone who stays in the same dead-end job for 20 years, even though they hate it every single day? Or a friend who keeps dating the exact same toxic type of person, relationship after relationship, swearing this time will be different, but it never is? Maybe you've watched someone refuse to move cities, switch careers, end a bad friendship, or even just try a new restaurant, because the thought of anything different feels terrifying. Today we're diving deep into one of the most common, yet least talked about psychological patterns, the fear of change. It's officially called metathesiophobia, but most people just feel it as a quiet, constant resistance to anything new. And here's the wild part. This fear isn't about laziness, stubbornness, or lack of ambition. It's rooted in some of the deepest parts of the human brain and personality structure. So why are some people absolutely paralyzed by the idea of change, while others seem to chase it like oxygen? Let's break it down step by step. Part 1. Where does the fear of change actually come from? First, we have to understand that the human brain is, at its core, a prediction machine. Its number one job is to keep you alive, and it does that by recognizing patterns and expecting the future to look a lot like the past. When life is predictable, the brain feels safe. When life becomes unpredictable, the amygdala, your brain's fear center, lights up like a fire alarm. For people with a high fear of change, this alarm system is set to ultra-sensitive. A new job, a new city, even a new phone can trigger the same neurological panic as standing on the edge of a cliff. But biology is only half the story. Early childhood plays a massive role. Children who grew up in chaotic, unpredictable homes, abuse, addiction, constant moving, financial instability, often develop the opposite coping mechanism. They cling to sameness like a life raft. Because in their early world, change usually meant danger. A new uncle moving in, a new school because rent wasn't paid, a parent disappearing overnight. So the child learns, if nothing changes, maybe I'll finally be safe. On the flip side, children raised in extremely rigid, controlling environments also develop fear of change, but for different reasons. If every tiny deviation was punished, we eat dinner at 6 p.m. sharp, we vacation at the same lake every summer, we never ever question authority. The child learns that stepping outside the known script brings shame, anger, or rejection. So again, change becomes associated with threat. These early blueprints get wired into something psychologists call your attachment style and your tolerance for ambiguity. People with anxious or avoidant attachment and low tolerance for uncertainty feel physical dread at the thought of the unknown. There's even a personality trait for this. It's called need for closure. People high in need for closure hate open-ended situations. They would rather make a bad decision fast than live with uncertainty. They are the ones who stay in terrible marriages because divorce feels scarier than misery they already know. Part 2. The hidden costs of avoiding change. Now, here's what's sneaky. People who fear change are often extremely good at rationalizing why they shouldn't do anything different. They'll tell you, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. I'm just being realistic. Things could always get worse. I'm not the kind of person who, it's too late for me. These sound like wisdom, but they're actually defense mechanisms. Psychologists call this secondary gain. The fear gets rewarded. By staying the same, the person avoids anxiety, embarrassment, failure, rejection, and loss of identity. But the cost is enormous, even if it's invisible. Stagnation depression. When nothing in your external life changes for years, your brain stops producing as much dopamine and serotonin. You feel flat, numb, and quietly hopeless, but you blame it on just getting older. Resentment builds up. People who won't admit they're afraid, so they get angry at everyone else who is changing. The friend who got fit, the coworker who got promoted, the sibling who moved abroad. They disguise envy as judgment. They're just showing off. It won't last. They're irresponsible. Identity fusion. Over time, people fuse their entire sense of self with their current circumstances. I'm a New Yorker. I'm a nurse. I'm the reliable one. Change starts to feel like ego death, because who are they if they're not that thing anymore? Regret avalanche. In later life study after study on deathbed regrets shows the number one regret is, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. The second is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard, staying in the same job out of fear. Fear of change literally shortens the life you feel you truly lived. Part 3. The 6 core fears hiding behind, I'm just not a risk taker. Let's get specific. Underneath the fear of change are usually one or more of these 6 deeper fears. Fear number 1. Fear of failure and humiliation. What if I try and I suck? What if everyone sees I'm a fraud? Fear number 2. Fear of success. Yes, really. If I change and succeed, people will expect more from me forever. I'll have to maintain it. My imposter syndrome will get louder. Fear number 3. Fear of loss of control. I can handle bad things I already know how to handle. New bad things. I have no script. Fear number 4. Fear of abandonment. If I become a different version of myself, will my partner, family, or friends still love me? Fear number 5. Fear of the unknown, obvious but powerful. The brain fills uncertainty with worst-case scenarios on loop. Fear number 6. Fear of grief. Change always involves loss, even good change. Leaving a job means grieving colleagues and routine. Ending a relationship means grieving the future you imagined. Moving means grieving the old neighborhood coffee shop. Many people would rather stay numb than feel that grief. Part 4. Why some people change easily and others never do. You probably know someone who seems to reinvent themselves every few years. New career, new city, new look, new relationship, and they look happy. What's different about them? Higher baseline dopamine, novelty feels exciting, not threatening, growth mindset, they see failure as data, not identity, secure attachment, they believe people will still love them even if they evolve, high self-efficacy, they trust themselves to handle whatever comes, lower disgust sensitivity, metaphorically, they're less grossed out by the messiness of growth. The good news? Most of these are changeable with effort. Part 5. How to start overcoming fear of change, even if it feels impossible. If you recognize yourself in this video, here are proven, research-backed ways to loosen the grip. Micro-novelty training. Start stupidly small. Eat something you've never tasted. Take a different route home. Sit in a different chair. You're teaching your amygdala, new does not equal danger. Future self journaling. Write a letter from your 90-year-old self looking back. What do you wish you had risked? This activates the prefrontal cortex and reduces the emotional hijack of the moment. Grief pre-processing. Name what you will lose with the change. Write it down. Cry if you need to. When the grief is witnessed, it loses half its power. Identity expansion, not replacement. Instead of, I'm quitting my job to become an artist, ego death. Try, I'm adding artist to my identity while keeping everything I already love about myself. The 5-year test. Ask, if I don't change anything, will I be okay with this exact life in 5 years? If the answer is a full-body no, that discomfort is your compass. Borrowed bravery. Consume stories of people who changed at your age or later. Your brain learns vicariously, if they survived it, maybe I can. Exposure therapy in slow motion. Make a list of 10 changes, ranked 1, barely scary, to 10, terrifying. Start at 1. Then 2. Never jump from 1 to 10. This is how therapists treat phobias. Gradual exposure rewires the fear circuit. Reframe uncertainty as information instead of, I don't know what will happen. Try, I'm about to get new data I don't have yet. Curious minds tolerate uncertainty better than fearful minds. The ending, you don't have to love change to benefit from it. Here's the truth nobody says out loud. You do not have to become a change junkie who moves countries every year. You just have to stop letting fear make all your decisions for you. Because the opposite of fear of change isn't recklessness. It's freedom. Freedom to leave the job that's killing your soul. Freedom to love someone who's actually good for you. Freedom to become the version of yourself you quietly daydream about when no one's watching. Change will always feel uncomfortable. That's not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's the sign you're growing. And growth, even when it's messy and terrifying, is the only way to look back one day and say, I'm glad I didn't stay where I was. I'm glad I became who I was meant to be. If this video hit close to home, do 2 things for me. First, share it with that one friend who desperately needs to hear they're not alone. And second, in the comments, tell me, what's one change you're afraid to make? But you know, deep down, you need to? You don't have to have the answer today. Just admitting it out loud is already the beginning. Thank you for watching. If you want more deep dive psychology like this every week, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll see you in the next one.